Hi guys, Fernandes Limbo, another thrilling episode of On the Grid. It's particularly thrilling because we got the head coach of Venice, I almost said Riverview, Venice High School Indians, John Peacock, whose team key district matchup at Braden River. John, welcome to the show. Welcome to On the Grid. Can you just...
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hey, can you just talk about your matchup? Your game is sort of the marquee game. Your program's been in a number of big games. Just what's the atmosphere down there leading up to this game?
You know, we're excited. We're excited to finally face Braden River. I think both teams have kind of cruised through the early part of their season and kind of gonna meet head to head tomorrow night. And you know, the winner of that will definitely be the front runner to make the playoffs. Because eventually, you know, we're gonna have to play. Both of us will have to play Palmetto eventually, and they're 3-0 also. So, you know, we're excited, and I'm excited to see how our kids take on the underdog role. We haven't had the underdog role this year, and I'm excited to see how they react to that.
Hey, Coach, obviously as big of a game as this is, there are 2 more games left in district after this week. How do you make sure, win or lose, you guys don't emotionally peak after a big game like this and still, you know, finish out your season strong? Because obviously, as we said, you got Palmetto left, Lakewood Ranch. This one game doesn't define the season, so how do you make sure your guys kind of come back next Friday as intense as they're going to be tomorrow night?
Well, to be honest with you, we approach every single game exactly the same. We're not doing anything different this week than we did last week. So we try to get emotionally as high as we possibly can on every game, whether it be a team that we're favored to win by 40 or a team like Braden River where they're favored to win. So we try to do the same thing and not try to get them out of any different kind of groove that we're in. And, you know, we try to get them up as much as we can for each game.
John, obviously by the statistics, both teams have great defenses. So should we expect a bunch of offensive fireworks tomorrow night?
You know, I don't know. You know, I know that our defense is, you know, they're excited to play. They kind of got a bad taste in their mouth, and you know they always hear about Braden River's defense and Braden River's defense this, and you know hasn't been a whole lot of mention of our defense. So I think they've got a little chip on their shoulder for tomorrow night. And you know, me being the offensive coordinator for our team, you know, I want to score as many points as we possibly can. You know, I like to score every time he touches the ball, to tell you the truth.
Right.
My last one, Coach. You mentioned your defense, obviously Jared Hewitt, your big tackle. He's one of 2 guys back for you starting, Sage Lee, the other one. How important has Jared been to your team this year? Not just the stats, but just the leadership and the presence he brings to a pretty young unit on that side of the ball.
Oh, man, you know, you have a guy like that with a motor like he has, everyone kind of, they have to kind of reach that level as well, you know, that level of expectation. And he affects the game so much, not just in the run game, but he affects the pass game just as much as he does the run game because nobody can block him. Now tomorrow night, he'll be going up against a Division I offensive lineman, and he'll have something to prove. So you know that'll be a good battle with their number 78. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. I think his first name is Alex.
Yes, Alguro. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, this will be a good battle tomorrow night, and kind of see he'll kind of be able to have a little measuring stick of where he's at.
Hey, Coach, I got to yank your chain a little bit. I've known you a long time. You know, you're a master psychologist. You're saying your team is the underdog for this game. You're at Braden River, but your program has played in a lot more critical, important games than Braden River has, even though your team is different. Are you trying to paint yourself as the underdog for this team, for this game, to get your team boosted up?
No, I don't think I have to do anything to boost them up, to be honest with you. I mean, these guys have been looking for this game a long time, but I am curious to see how they will respond as an underdog, because we're going to, eventually, if we meet the goals we want to meet and we keep winning the games we're supposed to win, eventually we're going to get in the playoffs, and or wherever down the road, we're going to be underdogs eventually. And I want to see how they respond and how they, you know, Braden River, they probably are a better football team than us. So how are we going to respond? We don't necessarily have to be perfect, but we just have to be better in Braden River tomorrow night. You know, we don't have to be better in Braden River the whole season. We just got to be better than tomorrow night.
Just for that 3 hours. Well, as John mentioned earlier, Palmetto laying in wait. They got Braden River next week, Venice the week after, you guys the week after. They're hosting Northport tomorrow night. But definitely your game is #1 on the docket, John, and we appreciate you dropping by On the Grid, and maybe we'll chat with you as the season goes on.
All right, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. I enjoy your show.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care. Well, John may be the only one who enjoys our show besides us two.
Yeah, I think my uncle likes it.
I think your uncle.
Yes.
But we appreciate Coach Peacock joining the show.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, we talk about every week about how some of the games don't live up to the marquee matchup, and it's a lot of blowouts.
Right.
This game should live up to expectations, right?
I think it will. I really do. I mean, you got, two teams that, obviously the numbers, I mean, neither one of them, as he's mentioned, they both really cruised to this point. You have, a lot of guys back for Braden River, but the job that they've done defensively at Venice with two starters back, two good ones, Jared Hewitt and Sage Lee, both having really good years. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a really fun game. The key to me, aside from the game itself, is that Venice travels really well as a fan base. So I'm sure, Braden River, their side of the stadium, Section E, they're going to be jumping. But I'm sure Venice will bring some noise too. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think it's going to be one of those games. There's going to be rings around the fences of people. So I think it's going to be a really great night for high school football. From a Venice standpoint, they had the bye week, which is going to help Carpenter and Doss. They both did. A little banged up injuries for the Indians. Coach Peacock hopes that this extra week sort of cleared that up. Right. But John, when you look around the docket, that is clearly the #1 game, but every team is in district action. Yeah. Just a couple of other games. The game I'll be at, Manatee at Riverview, as you pointed out in your numbers column. I think it's been 10 years since Riverview beat Manatee. Yeah. But Riverview beat Hillsborough Riverview last week. They're sort of in the picture, but they really have to come up with a big performance against Manatee. Right. I mean, well, they are in the picture. I mean, right now they're a game behind Manatee in the standings. They're 2-1. Manatee's 3-0. Yeah, they got to play really well to beat Manatee. I think Manatee is the better team. Manatee's rolling right now. I mean, I think 133-20 has been the combined score of their last 3 games. They're just doing everything right now. They've been the better team in the field all 3 games, and they've won all 3 games. So Riverview has to play really well to beat them, and we'll see if they can do that. It's a district matchup, but when you look at the record, Charlotte at North Fort Myers 0-2 in the district. Right. Charlotte is 2-0, but these teams always traditionally have a little tussle. Yeah. You expect Charlotte to put up another 40 and keep this thing rolling down there? I do. I mean, they're just scoring points by the truckloads. I mean, no one's come close to stopping this team. I mean, Fort Myers, the Fort Myers, that was a pretty good team. They beat them 42-0 a couple weeks ago. That's a traditionally really good football team. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if they stay healthy, I don't really see how no one's come close to slowing them down so far. They're rolling. I think they're going to roll this week too. Again, other games on the docket, maybe without the interest of Braden River, without Venice. The panache. Yeah, without the panache. You got Northport at Palmetto. Right. Palmetto should win that one. You got Sarasota at Lakewood Ranch, another district matchup. Yeah. Lemon Bay at Southeast. Lemon Bay hopes to tie Southeast with a win. That's a pretty big game. I mean, Southeast has played itself, I should say. They're 2-0. Lemon Bay's 1-1. Yeah, Southeast is playing really well. They're 3-3. Kevin Johnson, running back last week. Sure. 5 touchdowns, 254 yards. As a fantasy football guy, I see those stats. How many points would that have been? Right. Fantasy football. But yeah, he's having a great last few games. So yeah, I mean, they played themselves right back into it. Lemon Bay too. This could be a big win for them. And Southeast, they win this game, and they're in the doorstep of a playoff spot, which you haven't done in 3 years. Right. So. And great job by John Warren, sort of turning that program around just in the right time of the season. Well, yeah, and also too, I wrote about the story last week is that those guys really believed in what he was doing. You go 1-9 as a new coach, and a lot of times, a lot of guys might jump ship. They didn't. They believed in him. They believe in the cause. They believe in Southeast. I asked Kevin Johnson, did you ever think of quitting? He looked at me and said, I bleed orange and blue. Right. So you like to see that kind of loyalty from kids like that. So yeah, this would be a big win for them tonight, on Friday, I should say, if they're able to beat Lemon Bay and come one step closer to going to the playoffs. And one game that means something to the district, it's 1-5 Cardinal Mooney at 1-5 St. Pete Catholic, but Cardinal Mooney is 1-0 in the district, CCC is 1-0 in the district, so really, Cardinal Mooney's still alive in this thing very much so. If Mooney wins and CCC wins, they're both 2-0. Mooney's in the playoffs. So again, it's not how many teams you beat; it's who you beat. That's all that counts. So if Mooney wins tomorrow night and CC wins tomorrow night, they're both in the playoffs. They play October 30th in Clearwater, which will be the district championship game to see who's home and who's away that first week of the playoffs. So yeah, Mooney, for as a rough of a start as they had under the new coach Drew Lascari, they win tomorrow night, and they're in the playoffs. So. I think I still have the only blemish on the season. We talked about blemishes last week. The only blemish on our lock of the week. Yep. We were both right on last week. I'm going to ask you right now, what's your lock of the week? I'm going to go Palmetto Northport. The game's at Palmetto. Palmetto is playing really well. I think right now they're the better team than Northport. I think they win, and I think they and whoever wins the Venice Braden River game, they'll be 3-0 on top of the district.
You know, there are several games I could choose from. I'm just going to stay at the game I'm going to be covering, Manatee at Riverview. We talk about Manatee getting it going in the right direction.
Right.
Todd Johnson seemingly turning it around. I don't think Riverview is quite ready to bite off sort of this for the tomorrow night's game and beat the Hurricanes. So my lock of the week is Manatee tomorrow night. And hopefully it will remain blemish-free.
Well, before we go, I think we owe it to ourselves. Who are you picking in tomorrow night's Pirates-Indians game?
Pirates-Indians game, I came off on WTF before. That was one of the games we picked. I'm going through with the Venice Indians, with all due respect to Coach Peacock. I don't think his team is the underdog in this. I think the program has been battle-tested. And I look for Venice to come out in a very hotly contested game. What do you think?
You know, I agree. If you ask me tomorrow at what time is it, 1:35 now, I might say Braden River. But Venice, I think the reason I think of Venice is they played Plant in the kickoff classic. Then they went to Texas. I think those two things really galvanized this team. And I think they'll win a very close game tomorrow night. But like I said, if Braden River wins, I won't be shocked. That's my unlock of the week. Right. That's the total opposite of the lock of the week. That's my unlock of the week. I think it's going to be, like I said, a great game and a great night for football in the area.
I know they set an attendance record against Lakewood Ranch. They could easily break this mark tomorrow night.
They could, because like I said, Venice travels really well. And I'm sure the Braden River fans will be out in mass, where this is a huge, huge game. This is right up there with the Palmetto game last year for the district. And yeah, hopefully there's a lot of people out there and everything goes okay and people have a lot of fun. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great night.
We'll be talking about that game next week. We'll be breaking down the Palmetto game. But before we leave, I think we should mention, since he was a prep legend, the passing yesterday of Eddie Howell, longtime Sarasota High administrator, coach, and teacher at Sarasota High for 39 years. He passed on yesterday. We'll have the funeral arrangements in the paper, but just a great, great guy. I know you didn't have a lot to deal with him working up in Manatee, but he's one of those old-time administrators that you really don't see anymore in high schools anymore. You
know, we talk about tradition and all the good stuff and all these programs because of guys like him who've been there for so long, did all the right things. That's why. So, you know, you're right, and I never dealt with him. Obviously, his presence is felt to this day.
Right, and like I said, we'll have the funeral arrangements in the Herald-Tribune as they become available. So for John Limbo, Doug Fernandes, check us out next week on The Grid. We'll see you.